Hello, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight, Houston Edition, Season 13, The Reunion, Part 1. Today I have a special guest who will be joining us to talk about Myrla and GIL, or as some folks like to say, Girla. Today's special guest is Mr. Alex W. Leith. Let's bring Alex on to join us.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Just maybe a little bit, if you can get a little closer to that speaker, just a tiny bit.
All right. How's this?
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Okay.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, Mr. Leith?
Well, about me, I live in Chesapeake, Virginia. You know, Virginia is for lovers, as they say. And,
Oh, is that so?
and that's it. When you drive into Virginia, that's the first sign you see. You know,
Okay.
so you
All
come
right.
to you come to Virginia, prepare to be loved.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, but a little bit about my background. I'm born and raised Brooklyn, New York. I filmmaker, professional investor, father, grandfather. Been married a couple of times, so this married at first sight thing kind of touch a nerve with me sometimes. But we'll get into that and see how it goes.
All right. All right. I'm just turning the volume up just a little bit, just trying to get a little more volume here. Okay, so you've as you said, you've been married a couple of times. I assume none of those were you weren't married at first sight though, right?
No, no, these were longtime friends or people I've known for a while. No first sight stuff. I don't even believe in that actually. So
Uh,
that's what makes this very interesting.
it is. It is an interesting concept, isn't it? To meet someone on your wedding day and marry them. I mean, I think well would you say, because I think I feel this way, wouldn't you say that someone has to be especially brave to I mean, I think the people that sign up for this show, they have to have a special kind of courage.
Or dumb. Um,
Okay. Let's say some of our disparaging remarks for just a for just a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could say some people might say dumb, but I'm just saying courageous. And I mean, like, well, I've been watching. I don't know about you, Alex, but I've been watching the show for a little while now. Not since the first season, but I guess midway through. And I have actually seen, and am social media friends with some of the couples that have actually thrived, like Deanna and her husband Greg, and Karen and Miles. Amani and Woody are some of the couples from, like, when they were in New Orleans a couple of seasons ago. These couples are thriving.
it'll pass.
Oh, stop it. Whatever happened to being a hopeless romantic? Has that just went right out the window?
No, 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 no. I mean, I have reasons for that. I just think that
Mhm.
it really takes time to get to know a person inside out because you will be surprised. I put a question on Instagram and Facebook some time ago where I asked, what's the difference between a narcissist and a sociopath?
Okay.
And narcissist, they both have all the similar traits: self-love,
Mhm.
controlling, blaming, whatever they all have that. They both have
Okay.
that. But a sociopath, the biggest difference is a sociopath will actually kill you or plot your death. That's the biggest difference.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I say all that to say that you don't really know a person after a year, 2 years. I mean, it really takes time. So to figure out what their habits are, what they like, what they don't like, if they like your family, if they like your mama or your daddy, your friends, all these things take an enormous amount of time. So Once
All right.
once the honeymoon stage is over, the work
Mhm.
begins, and everybody's not prepared for the work.
Well, you know what? But I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about there's a truth to what you're saying, Alex. There's a truth to that it takes time to learn your partner, to learn the person you're with, to begin to even understand them. I'm thinking to myself, like they're we're learning ourselves, like our own actual individual selves, and we live with ourselves every day and we're still learning ourselves, okay? And sometimes some of us have varying degrees of blind spots, even about our own selves, our own weaknesses, our own strengths. But to get back to other people, um, so that's a thing that would take a lifetime. So I'm curious to say, like, you're never gonna know a person, another person completely. So at some point, you gotta say, okay, is this person for me? Maybe it's a year down the road, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 6 years. I don't know. But you're not, I mean, I'm assuming that most people that want to be married aren't gonna wait forever to know the person, to know
What's the
everything about them.
what's the pros and cons? It's as they say, it's the 80-20 rule. Nobody's
Mm,
going to have 100% of what you want. They may have up to 80%, but 20% may be missing. So you
mm-hmm,
have to decide, is the 80% enough, or do I crave that 20%? And
mm.
that's why a lot of people will go out and cheat with a 20% and lose a whole 80, because
Wow.
they're under the guise that somebody got to make you 100% happy, 100% complete. It's like I always say, Aubrey, and men or women, we think different, we're wired differently, but we have to come together in relationships to kind of figure it out. And
Yes.
I know for women, they have this list of things that they expect from a man. It might be 10 things long, right? Or a man
Right.
got to be nice looking. He got to make a certain income. He got to be healthy. He got to be a good father. All these things they have, and
Mm-hmm.
if the guy has 9 of the 10, if he don't have one thing, oh, he's not the one. He's not the one for me.
Oh, I
It's
don't know. I don't know if women are being that picky, especially, let's
I've
say,
seen it. I've seen it. I'm just
you
telling
you
you.
s- you seen it.
I've seen it.
I don't know, like, okay, so I'm just gonna say for the viewers and the listeners out there that, I'm a woman of a certain age, so I'm over 35, well over 35. I don't know if women, when they get to 35 and greater, I don't know if they're so picky that they've got to have what is it you said, 9 out of 10 things on the list? That's sounding too picky.
Well, that and true. We're in a certain age group. I'm up in your age range, and
Mhm.
this show, as you see, these are younger couples for the
Yeah,
most part.
35, 30,
Yeah.
34, 35,
So
36. Yeah.
they're borderline knucklehead stage, as I call it. Um,
I'm gonna try not to spit this coffee out while you're speaking. Go ahead.
so they're still looking at a lot of superficial fantasy stuff
Mhm.
instead of being real with themselves and being real about the person that you have. When you marry or get in a serious relationship with anybody, you get the person you get, not the one you hope for them to be.
Okay, wait a minute now. That sip almost came out. You get the person. Hold on. Let's slow it down a little bit for me. I'm a little bit slow. So you get the person that you get. What do you mean by that? You get the
You get
person
the
that you get.
person you get, not the one you hope for them to be. And what I mean by that is a lot of
Right.
women get a man and try to change him into something that they like.
Ah,
You see what I'm saying? Now,
I,
in the beginning, they like
I
his
do.
look. He got a 6 pack. He drive a nice car and all
to
this
that
stuff.
to
And
that
then,
six pack turns into, what do they call it, a fupa, a little bit of a
yeah,
stomach after a
yeah,
couple of years.
that 6 pack turned into a keg. You know, from being comfortable. When people are comfortable and in love, they tend to put on weight.
Put on weight, right, right,
You
right.
know,
Okay.
because now they're comfortable. They're not out there looking anymore. They come home, they eat, they make love, they watch TV, they get up the next day and repeat it again. And
Okay.
they're happy for a little while doing that, but after a while, you will inevitably be challenged in your relationship. Okay, when the challenges come. What are you willing to do at that point? Because you can't walk on a cloud forever. There's going to be challenges. And a lot of people don't want to do the work. And that's why a lot of marriages fail.
Well, okay. So now you said something. It's something you said, and I didn't want to interrupt you, right? But you said something a little ways back. Um, you said you mentioned finances. Okay, so as we start to get into this married at first sight situation with Myrla and Gil, let's kind of turn our attentions a little more specifically toward them for a minute. Um, I think that finances in this situation played a significant role because here's the thing. I don't know if you know this about Myrla, who we're talking about today. Myrla wanted someone on top of her list. Okay, like you were talking about that, 9 out of 10 wish list. Her non-negotiable was that she wanted someone, a man who was financially stable and established in his career.
Right?
Okay. Okay. So now Gil, who was the guy that they, fixed her up with and she married, he is a new fireman from my understanding. I think less than a year, maybe let's say maybe 1 year, a year and a half, which in the fireman department, you don't even establish rank until you get in there a couple of years. You got to have seniority to make the higher ranks, to make the higher income. It's based on seniority. So here's a guy less than 2 years into his training. He's already 35, but he's talking about he wants to have a wife and a family. Sir, how are you supporting a wife and a family and children when you're new to your career? You're not established.
Well, you have to find a woman who's willing to take that ride with you. And some are, some aren't. I mean, if you have a woman who is at the beginning of her career but not established yet, she want a man to support her in her career endeavors and be there for her in those down times as she's trying to build something. So that's a 50-50 proposition. It's just because he's 35, which is a good enough age to know if you want to be married or not, you should have children or not. You maybe got one or two already. Who knows? But that's an age to decide I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to be married. I got this career going. I just need a woman, to be by my side and support me in this thing. And that can go a long way. Now, if the woman sees the man doing this and making steps toward doing this and actually engaged in his career, whatever, then she should be all in. But if she got somebody that's just dreaming and not doing a damn thing, that's totally different. That's totally different. She has no business getting engaged with anybody like that. And he has no business wanting to take on a woman and build a family if he's just dreaming and not putting action and work in.
Right. And I think that's a little bit of what we're seeing, or at least what watching the show this season 13, that's what I'm getting out of this situation. So a big part of Myrla's discontent with this gentleman is not that she's not a, he's not a maybe a good person or doesn't have a good heart. He's doing something for a living. I mean, how many people see a fire and run towards it and run into a building and risk their lives to save other people, right?
Exactly.
But the problem is, so now here's the scenario. She is at the top of her game. She's went to school, gotten her advanced degrees. She's made partner recently in her educational consulting firm. The rumor has it, now I don't know. I'm not, I haven't seen her taxes, okay?
The
Let
rumor
me
has it, ooh. The rumor has it, ooh. I like that song.
Okay, I'm gonna let you do all the singing on today. I'm gonna let you do all the singing on this live broadcast because girlfriend cannot, yours truly cannot carry a tune, not even with a bucket. So I'm gonna
Okay.
let you do all the singing, show off, and
Okay.
showcase that wonderful voice. But no, the rumor has it that Mirla, she earns over $200,000 a year. Now, comparable to Gil saying that he even said on the show, one of the episodes not too long ago, when he was speaking to his mother over in Colombia, he says, Ma, she makes twice as much as I make. So, and here's the thing, Gil, throughout the season, he has tried to control her spending. She wants to buy these expensive, what is it, red bottom shoes. I don't know nothing about it. My daughter's all into that, but that's not my plight in life. Okay. So, but she wants to buy her designer this, her designer that. I feel like myself personally, she works hard for her money. She's not dipping into his money. And if she wants to buy, she says a couple, 2, 3 times a year, she goes out and buys these $800, $1,000, $1,200 shoes. So what? Her brother says she's set. Her brother is a CPA and says that her retirement is on point, her savings is on point. So why is brother man, why is he over here trying to control what she spends her money on?
Because her success and her imminent success to be more successful may scare him. It may
Mhm.
frighten him. That happens to a lot of men. It wouldn't bother me in the least. And I'll just
Is
put that out there. If
okay, and see that, and hold on just 1 second. I think now you're hitting onto something that a lot of men this season, in the host and others included, have not been honest about. This man right here, Gil, he is overly concerned because why? It's intimidating to him, I think.
well, you know why it frightens him?
Mhm.
Just like it frightens a lot
No.
of guys. Okay, your woman make 250 grand a year. You make 50 grand a year. Okay,
Mhm. Right.
and the intimidation factor comes in. What if she meets a guy who makes a half a million? What if she meets a guy that makes 300,000? That guy can take her from me just based off the dollar value, and that's how he's looking at it. Okay, instead
Say
of
say
saying
say say I'm sorry, I missed that. Say that again. That guy that makes 300 or whatever could do what? I didn't hear that.
the husband feels like if she meets a guy making 500,000 a year, 300,000 a year, more in
Mhm.
her range, that this guy can take her away from the husband. The husband feels that. you
Mhm.
know. So he's basically putting a dollar value on his relationship. Now,
Mhm.
if she sincerely loves him, she won't allow that to happen. But what she will do is help
Mhm.
build him up to a
Mm.
$250,000, $300,000, half a million earning man, if he's willing to do that. Now, if he wants to sit up there and sponge off her the rest of his life and control her money, whatever, after a while, that's going to turn her off. Period. Because she's gonna
Right.
say, and if they got children, she's gonna say, if let's say they got two children, she's gonna say, well, I actually have three children because I got two children and a husband to take care of. You know, so and when a woman start looking at you as a dependent, they lose all respect for you. I don't
Okay.
care what nobody say.
Okay.
Period.
Hold on. Can I ask you, just hold on 1 second? I'll be right back to the mic, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
I should be singing while she's gone, but I can't think of something else to sing at the moment.
Okay. Okay. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so I hear what you're saying, and that makes a lot of sense what you're saying about his possible fears of just that someone else will come along and maybe have something to offer, and that she would jump ship for the higher earner. What do they call it nowadays? The high value man is, I think, what they're
Right.
saying on these YouTube streets. Um,
But again, Aubrey, she knew that in the beginning. And she accepted him. He married him. They lived in the same house. Did all this stuff. And then later it began to bother her because she started seeing habits and ways in him she didn't like. And this is why the whole married at first sight thing is kind of suspect to me a lot of times because you you
not suspect. Let me put a little Bailey's and cream in my coffee. Go ahead and continue.
yeah put some Hennessy in there with it. But you just
Okay.
you
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You just never know a person until you're actually living with them. Living with somebody is a whole different
Right.
animal. I don't care if they come by and spend a night, 2 or 3 nights a week, whatever. As
Mhm.
long as they go back home, you're fine. But It's for living together.
Yeah, that used to be my thing. Like you can come, but you can't spend the night.
Right, right. You know what I mean?
Oh, well,
And
I hope my pastor's not listening.
praise the Lord. Praise his name.
Anyway, anywho, okay, I got some topics because I know I only have you for a little while, but I've
Hmm.
got a couple things on this list that I wanted to just get your take on. Okay, before you have to leave out, right?
Okay.
Um, do you think that okay, so you've seen pictures, you've seen some episodes with Gil and Myrla, right? So you know that they're both Latino, they're both Hispanic, right?
Hmm.
Gil is originally from Colombia, and Myrla, I believe she was born in Texas, but from Hispanic parents. Okay, so now some people are saying on social media, now I'm not so sure about this. I don't know if I believe this or not. I don't know enough about Gil to know if this is true, but some women are saying that they think that Gil, who is Afro Latino, I guess if I'm saying that correctly, if I'm not, please forgive me. It's no disrespect intended. But some people are saying that Gil may be suffering from what they call colorism,
Mm.
that he may have put Mirla up on a pedestal. In other words, he may have put her up on a pedestal because she is more white or lighter complexioned Hispanic, as opposed to another woman being Afro Latino that would be his complexion, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
So
Um,
I don't know about that. What do you think? What do you think, that is that a possibility?
that is something that's been plaguing um, black people, Latino people, forever. You got Puerto Ricans that don't like Dominicans because Dominicans are darker, and the Dominicans don't like the Puerto Ricans, and the Cubans don't like this one. But they're all in the Latino, space. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Black people, we don't like light skinned black people. We don't like dark skinned black people. We got all these names for each other. High yellow heifers, and his colored, and all. I grew up with all this nonsense, and at the end of
Hmm.
the day, what it just comes down to is people are people, women are women, men are men. Okay.
Okay.
There is no specific group of men that only cheat. Okay. just you know, men have been cheating since the beginning of time, right? And
Right, right.
what's the oldest profession?
Well, they
Prostitution
say prostitution, right?
has,
That's what it's
has
been
been around
said.
since the beginning of time. There hasn't been a group of women that have not prostituted.
Okay,
Okay,
now there are male prostitutes too now, sir.
I'm just making a point. I
Okay,
said
okay.
I said the men cheating, the women. We know they're both on both sides. I'm just giving you a scenario.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
that
All right.
the fact is that there are just things that we've been programmed to believe and programmed to see and make bigger deals than they actually are. We're bred to look at surface things: skin color, height, size, weight, so forth. We're not bred to look at substance. And it's because when we find out the substance of a person, that tends to scare us. you know can I live up to this? Am I worthy of them? And all this other kind of stuff, which the dollar value come in, the skin complexion, because we're born and raised thinking lighter is better because of who that runs the country. Okay, so we're born and raised with that. We have to recondition our mind to know that regardless of how dark we are, how light we are, we're special within ourselves, but we're no better than anybody else. And we just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, that's a very good point. That's an excellent point that you make. That I think like this. Okay, so I've dated across the spectrum. I've dated across the African American race, and pretty much most cultures available to me in America. Okay, so I've dated Caucasian men, Latino men. I've dated Asian men, and what my father always taught me was to base my information and base my liking of a person on a couple of things. So, what is that man's character, right? And then, other than that, what is his character? And does that fall into where my character is and what I respect and what my values are? And then, other than that, the second thing is, how well does that man treat me? Because no matter what color he is, no matter what shade of brown or beige or pink, no matter what shade he is and what he looks like, if he doesn't treat me well and if we don't have the same values, there's going to be a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be a
Right.
lot of problems. We're not going to get along, and I think that's the other thing. So I want to bring it back again to Gil and Myrla. I think that a lot of the problems um, were that with Myrla, because she wanted a man financially stable, she wanted a man who was career driven and focused on finances. And Gil is like, oh, I could just live in a box. Oh, I could just I'm happy no matter where I am, no matter what I have. I'm just always happy. And Myrla wants the finer things in life. She's
Mm.
become accustomed to, even though she was impoverished, growing up she was impoverished, right? So was
Mm.
Gil. They both grew up in impoverished backgrounds, okay? But they've risen above that, but she has taken it to that extra level. And I, again, as a woman, I think a lot of us crave comfort. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable in life, I don't think.
No, it's not. Nobody's blaming anybody for that. I want comfort.
Right, right. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like um who's really
Look,
right
look.
here? Okay,
I
go
just,
ahead.
I just feel like that if she had known more about him before they took a leap, then she would have never took the leap with him. You know, I used to watch Divorce Court back in the day when
Uh-huh.
Judge Maybelline Ephraim used to do Divorce Court back in the day. Um, and she had a saying she would always say, "Look deep before you leap." Okay, so the leap is the marriage, but looking deep is finding somebody's character, their integrity, their wants, their desires. All that, you have to look at all that stuff before you decide if you're going to get involved in a long-term situation. Don't make long-term decisions on short-term information. Period.
Mm. Mhm.
And that's where we get into trouble at. So
Mm.
I mean, I'm at a disadvantage because I didn't see enough of their story, enough of their background to make any real, true, honest assessment. But when I
Mhm.
came in for the reunion show, it looked as
Mhm.
though to me she just wanted out. Like he's all rich.
Yeah, she wanted out because I'm gonna tell you something. Gil turned into a straight up female during the season. He didn't do anything but the last 6, 7 episodes but nag, nag, nag. I felt like he was a girl. I'm like, you know what? You've got very feminine tendencies, sir. Come on
Mm,
now. Come on, stop nagging a woman. If you do not like her, guess what? At the end of this, you guys will do what? Get a divorce.
yeah, and I think, and I think divorce. If you drive down the expressway or almost any highway in the country, you see billboards on the expressway when you drive by.
Mhm.
And a lot of times you see these billboards that say divorce $99. You know, divorce $99. Call this law firm. All over the expressway. But you don't see any that says get married and cherish your marriage. You don't see those kind of billboards because there's no money in getting married. The money is getting divorced. That's what the money is. Because now we splitting up stuff. This is what somebody who comes into a marriage with a lot fears. When this
Mhm.
marriage ends, this person gonna take all my stuff, and I ain't gonna have nothing. I'm gonna have to pay them alimony, so forth and so on. And
In
and
this case, it would be Myrla paying Gil.
I was getting ready to say, contrary to popular opinion, there have been women who paid alimony.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm trying
There's
to
been
think.
women who paid alimony.
Recently there was a big celebrity. Well, look at Mary J. Blige. She had to give all that money to
Oh, he cleaned her out.
Yeah, well, yeah, he took good advantage. Exactly.
I mean, years
Exactly.
ago, Whoopi Goldberg paid alimony. That man took a truckload of her stuff. You know,
I want to point out, okay, so Felicia is on here and she's saying she makes a comment. There is a big difference between being charming and having character. Gil is a charmer at this point, and I agree with her. I don't think we've seen enough of Gil's character. He seems kind of city slick, if you ask me. I don't see him as being as a man having character. You know, did you notice on the reunion show, Alex? Did you notice that all the finery that he was draped in, and the shoes and the suit, and this is a guy that says he's so humble, but why did you come to the reunion dressed like almost like a pimp?
yeah. And I don't know a whole lot of men that wear red bottom shoes.
That's
So
what I'm trying to say.
he
I
he
know some men that have some really exquisite taste and are very well to do, and none of them have red bottom shoes.
so he really out there flossing. You know, um, on her dollar. You know,
I don't know. Everybody's saying whether I don't know whether Myrla bought this suit and these shoes for this man. I felt like, well, maybe that they give them their check. They finished their 8 weeks of the experiment, so maybe they got their check from Lifetime Network. Maybe he decided to buy it himself because he was clearly at this point they were separated, and it seems like he said, well, he's saying that he's still in love with her, so maybe he's trying to get back with her. I don't know, but I,
you
I don't
know,
know. If I've got to change who I am to be with you, then I don't think we need to be together.
no. And he might be looking at more of the lifestyle she can provide and might be in love with that as
Mhm.
opposed to just only with her. You know, and
Mhm.
she's very nice looking. Obviously, she has a very nice figure and so forth. But
Mhm. She
look,
does. She works
but
out. She takes care of herself.
money brings out strange things in people. It really does. So like I said, I don't know enough about them. I came in at the tail end of the reunion thing, and I
Okay.
listened and
Okay then.
watched some of it. So I
Mhm.
want to get back into it. I guess when they show the repeat to really get
Yeah.
into and see
Yeah.
what it is, what happened, because
Uh-huh.
on the outside looking in, as I said, it just seemed like she wanted to kick him to the curb all of a sudden, and we really don't understand why. Because the reasons we're discussing right now and the things that Felicia is questioning in the chat,
Right.
you know,
Right.
the young lady didn't say these things. She didn't say a whole lot regarding his character or his integrity or anything like that. From what I heard, she just gave the impression, I don't want this anymore. He's a nice guy, but I don't want him. She actually said that. I think he's a good guy, he's a nice guy, but I don't want him. You're like,
Right.
God, that's
Well, you
raw
know
deal.
what? But this is the thing. But now, okay. So a couple of things. Do you have a few more minutes? Because I'm looking at the time, and I don't want to keep you longer than you can stay. But if you got
Yeah,
maybe say 10, 11 more minutes,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
let's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
got a little
finish
bit
this
of
out
time.
because there's a couple of more things I want to touch on. Okay, so you're saying, yeah, that the way she was cool. A lot of people talked about that Myrla was cold, or however they wanted to say it. She was stoic. I come from a background, so I'm a daddy's girl, right? And my dad was former military, so calm, cool, and collected, right? That's what they teach you, and that's what he taught me. So I'm not going to get all emotional, especially when I'm at the point where I'm breaking up with you, well, they had already broken up. Let me go back. They had already broken up. So okay, so a thing is a thing. It's already done. And here's the thing about women: when we decide that it's over, chances are it's been over for a minute, okay? And we've been pondering it, and we've been looking at the way you've been moving and how you've been treating us or mistreating us, as the case may be. And we're done. We're
Yeah,
done.
yeah, I agree with that totally. I think when you hear about people who married for 15 years and get divorced, it didn't start going bad in year 15. You know, this thing
No.
been going, this thing been going bad since year 6 or 7, and the person, you know, and the person been hanging on, trying to fix stuff, and hanging on and trying to fix stuff, and seeing if things
Oh,
get better.
yeah.
And before you know it, it's 15 years, and you just can't take it no more. You know, so it don't start going bad in year 15 or year 20. That's just when you say enough is enough. I'm done. You know, Because when people no longer hear you and respect your feelings and what you're trying to tell them, I know a lot of people who they're married to a drinker or a gambler or so forth, and they'll tell this person for 10 years, stop drinking, get help. You
Exactly.
know,
Come on,
so
baby. Let's go get some help. Let's go get
let's
some
go, yeah,
counseling.
4 year
Mhm.
old. And they refuse to do it. And then 10 years later, when the person goes, I'm done, then they go, what I do? What happened? It's like, are you serious? I've been telling you 10 years, cut the bull, and you won't do it. So now I'm leaving. You wondering what happened. Okay. So yeah, people don't communicate well and don't respond well to communication. Felicia's leaving something else. You want to read that, Aubrey?
Okay, yes. She says, Felicia says, I found it interesting that all the other men were blues and grays, and then there was Gil in red.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Girl, don't get me started about what I think about. Now that's a whole psychology lesson about men who wear red and
Pippin
those
ain't
those
easy.
shades. I
Pip,
mean, hey, look, everybody has the right, to they're free. People are free to wear what they want. There's nothing wrong with it. But when I see a man in red, mm, okay.
Pippin ain't,
I,
Pippin ain't easy.
mm. Okay, I've got before I let you go, I've got a couple more things real quick. Okay, real
Uh-huh.
quick. Okay, so I think now I don't know. Did you know about this? I know you didn't catch the whole season yet, so I've got to ask you. Did you know that there was a trauma bonding potential between Myrla and Gil? Both of them have, unfortunately, a very tragic situation. They both lost their fathers to murder, to shootings.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Okay, so yeah, so that was something I wanted to just kind of bring up briefly, and I think that possibly, I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating. I think that there may have been on Gil's side, there may have been some trauma bonding once he found out that his wife that they had paired him with, also her father had been murdered. And of course, now as a 13, 14-year-old boy, he watched his father being murdered by some men that broke into their apartment, right?
Mm.
So I mean that's really sad. It's really tragic, but I think that there may have been some trauma bonding because, and I say this, the reason why I'm saying I think that there may be some trauma bonding because I'm trying to figure out how Gil, who was portrayed throughout the season as being this wise man, how did he miss the red flags? Because the viewers could pretty much tell, 80% of us could tell that Mirla was not into Gil.
Mm-hmm.
80% of us, I felt like, the people I was talking to said, no, she's really cool. She's kind of, we're going to see what's going to happen. But she really wasn't into him. And then there's one other thing. Okay. So he says a couple of weeks ago, that they consummated the marriage finally, right? They're probably like the last couple to consummate their marriage, right? Well, is it possible? Can you just speak on this briefly? Is it possible? Some people are speculating that there was bad sex, that maybe she didn't like the sex.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me take a step back just for a second, and I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Women have, forever looked at the lifestyle a man could provide and went for the lifestyle as opposed to the man himself. Okay, so the man don't have to be great looking. He don't have to have the greatest of personalities or the greatest of backgrounds or whatever. But if he's providing a lifestyle for
Mhm.
them, they can go to the spa and shop and do all the things that they like and see on social media. They'll choose a man based off of that. Okay, so if women do it, don't you think men would do that too? And I think this is what Gil did. He saw a woman
Absolutely.
in a position financially to
Right.
do some things, and he
Yes,
chose her
yes.
based on that. Okay, because if
Mm.
you ask a lot of women that marry multimillionaires or whatever case may be, it's like,
Right.
okay, he's a nice guy, but hell, he's a millionaire. That don't hurt nothing. That don't never hurt being a millionaire.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Like all the season, people have been putting Mirla down. She's materialistic. She's only driven by money. she said money drives her, but she didn't say that's her only focus. I never heard her say that.
I don't
And
think it's her only focus, but I think it's a big part of who she is now,
it
coming
is.
from
It
nothing.
is.
When
Yes.
you come from nothing and you acquire a lot, you ain't
Mhm.
going back to nothing to save your mama's life. You don't want to go back
No. No, that's right. And see, and that's another thing. That's a big thing that really irked her about Gil. He kept saying, okay, so there was this one episode. I don't know if you saw this, Alex, but there was one episode, maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago, where they all of the couples went back to their original place where they grew up. Okay, and Myrla and Gil, he went back to the apartment and he said it's the first time he's ever been back to that apartment with someone, and it was very emotional because that's where he lost his dad. That's where his dad was shot and killed. Okay, but the thing about it, so then shortly after that episode, or it was either later in the episode or the next episode, Gil made some very snide remark to Myrla and said, well, she's forgetting where she came from. And I was just like gobsmacked. I'm like, well, who are you to say that she forgot where she came from? You don't know that, sir. You don't know
right,
that about her. Just
right.
because she is comfortable moving in a different setting, you don't know that, because what part of what she's doing being in the educational field is she's trying to better the educational community to help people like her, because she was only able to pull herself up out of poverty through getting an education and pulling herself and working her way up the ladder. Okay,
Well,
so she, yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aubrey.
No, no, go ahead.
And the other thing is, I just want to say that she hasn't forgotten where she came from. That's why she's busting her behind not to go back there. You know, and
Exactly,
and
exactly.
when you remember living with roaches and rats and your daddy getting murdered and all these different, you don't want to go back there. See, all this crap about you got to keep it real. You got to keep it real. That's a bunch of crap. Okay, because there are other ways that you keep it real. You can provide opportunity to people from where you came from. Because quite frankly, when you're on this journey of success and you're elevating, everybody just can't come with you. They just can't go because they don't want the same things you want. Some people just want to stay hood. Some people just want to stay ghetto. They want to stay in that mess.
Exactly. They want to
So
still fit in with their original friends, which is nothing wrong with that. But I found as I move through life, sometimes as you move into a different season, everybody is not going to be able to come with you. And that's by their choice.
right.
That's not you saying that you can't come with me because I knew you from the days when I had less. That's because some people will refuse to change. They will
And
refuse to change, and you can't, and it just doesn't work out.
yeah, you can't. Human evolution is as natural as breathing. And if
Thank
you're
you.
somebody who will never evolve, then you're going to be stuck in a moment in time and you'll never have anybody. Or you'll have somebody who's stuck along with you, you know.
Right.
So, but let me just get to the bad sex issue and try to see because I didn't hear that. I don't know if that's something that's underlining the causes or whatever, but that's a matter bad sex or whatever is a matter of communication. Now sometimes you have people who have such great chemistry physically, whether it's the
Mhm.
pheromones, whether it's the touch, whether it's the looking at each other, because there's a lot of things that come with good sex and not just the physical act of it. Okay, so you have to have great chemistry and communication. If somebody's doing something that you don't necessarily like for them to do, or if they're not touching a certain area you need touch, put their hand there. Let them know what this. You know,
I'm glad I'm not drinking my coffee anymore because I
you
would be
know.
in trouble.
Listen, let them know what the spot is or whatever, or
Mhm.
your favorite thing to do and what you don't. It's now if they refuse to do it, it's like listen. I'm trying to tell you how to please me. You don't want to do it, so
And maybe they happy with Myrla and Kim. Maybe she tried to. I don't know. I'm gonna tell you something that did cross my mind as a woman, and I'm not saying this is Gil. So everybody, this is an alleged disclaimer. Okay, this is just an idea, just a thought that I had. Okay, so Gil used to be skinny when, of course, when he was younger, and then he got into bodybuilding, right?
Hmm.
So in the bodybuilding community, there is such a thing as different injectables and different things that a man can take, or even
Yeah,
a woman, I guess.
steroids and stuff, steroids and those
I,
different
I,
things.
I was trying not to say the word, sir, but yes, that there are things that people can take. And from what I've heard, I don't know this for a fact, but from what I have heard and from what I've read, that sometimes those injectables and things, and whether they're taken orally or injected, those things can affect a man's
Yeah,
you
they
know
can. Hmm.
yeah,
They can.
so
I've heard
right,
that. I've
again,
heard
we're
that
gonna keep
too.
this PG-13, okay.
PG-13, but yeah, I've
Mm.
heard that too. But yeah, I mean, so you got the great body, but your stuff don't work. So what would you rather have? You know, so
I would rather the stuff work personally, but that's just
yeah,
that's
me
just
too.
me.
Me too.
That's just me.
I'd rather my stuff work. You
I
know.
would rather the stuff work because I'm not, I'm not the nice body is nice, but I don't know. I've just never in my life, I've just never I've had the opportunity to date some professional athletes, and I just that's all fine, but I don't
Yeah,
I like a
I
man
get it.
I like a man that let me just say this, Alex. I like a man, honestly speaking, I like a man that's in good shape, good to average, a good average, if I can say
Right.
it that way. Because
Mm.
you don't have to be, I feel like if the man's body is like perfectly chiseled, then I'm kind of like, my body's no longer perfectly chiseled. So
Right. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
feel so good.
You get up in our age group, you're not 21 anymore. So there are other things you have to find attractive and keep yourself reasonably in shape, for your age group or whatever. But we're not 21 and 22 anymore where you burn stuff off as
Mm-mm.
soon as you eat it, you know, kind of thing. When we're
No,
younger, that stuff burn off as soon as you eat it. But now
exactly.
you eat certain things and sit there like, oh, you know.
And some of us have sweet tooths too, okay? Some
Yeah,
of
like
us like,
me. Yeah.
oh, is that you too?
Yeah, I got a
Okay.
terrible sweet tooth.
Oh,
I'm still in pretty good shape, but I got a bad sweet tooth.
you got a
You
bad
know,
sweet tooth. You got a
yeah.
bad
But
sweet tooth.
Felicia said something in the comments where she said she feels like Mira was collecting data because people are seeming like she lied to Gil and misled him, but she may have been collecting data, and that's something that women are notorious for doing. You're,
Ah, I found the comment. Yes, I pinned it. Okay,
yeah,
yes.
a woman's mind is a computer. So every little thing a man do, she put it right in the back of her head like a computer. Okay, he thinks that,
Do,
you
do, do,
know,
do, do, do,
what
do.
yeah, we say, we'll let it go for now, but it's back there. You know, duly noted. Okay.
I
So
think women should collect data. I mean, I think that that's exactly what men do. See, this situation, married at first sight, it's reversed. You get married and then you're collecting data, and that's
that's the wrong
Our
way.
ours backwards, I would say
That's
it that way.
backwards.
Yeah, that's backwards. And so, but in order to decide whether or not you're gonna stay married, yeah, Myrla was doing what you would normally do on the front end. She was collecting the data. That's right. And I don't
Yep.
blame her. She was trying to find out, is this a person I can pin my dreams and my hopes to? Is this a person I can build with? And she
Yep.
determined that he was not the person that she could build with. And I don't blame her, because personally, I didn't see it with Gil either. Some women seem to think that he's so gorgeous, he's so handsome. Baby, if
That,
good
that
looks were a dollar bill, I would give him 25 cents.
listen, that only goes so far. The good looks or whatever may get you in the door, but it's the
Right.
substance that keeps you in the door. What
Absolutely.
at the end, what are you bringing to the table? What do you have to offer other than a pretty face? And men look at it the same way because you know women. I speaking from a male perspective. A lot of women in the beginning of a relationship,
Hmm.
you talk about intimacy, they'll have sex with you all day, every day, all day. It don't matter when it is, what it is, all day. You have no problem with them. Okay? They'll cook you some food. They'll clean the house. They'll do all the things that they know men like. And
Mm.
once you hooked, Now you got to argue with them for sex. You got to argue for a hot meal. Now the house is raggedy. It's like, why did you do all this in the beginning when it's not really you? See, and
Right.
that's the thing. It's like whatever the true real me is, you're getting that day one. So you have to decide from day one. Can I deal with socks in the middle of the floor? You know,
Is that you with the socks in the middle of the floor?
sometimes, can I just pick the socks up, or is it going to make me angry every time I see that? Whatever.
Yeah,
Or
because some people really do get upset about that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
do I leave uncovered leftovers in the refrigerator? I hate uncovered food in the fridge. I hate that.
I don't like that either. I'm not gonna say hate, but I don't like that
I
either.
oh
I tend to
Aubrey,
put I tend to when I put food in the refrigerator, it's always in a covered container,
it got to
or
be
if there's
covered.
no matching cover, I'm gonna use some
Aluminum
sort of
foil.
wrap. Yeah, foil or wrap, the clingy wrap. Yeah.
Yeah. So these things, what I'm saying is that don't put up a facade in the beginning because it's gonna come back to haunt you. It's gonna come back to haunt you. You can only keep it up for so long. And it's like
Right.
Judge Judy got a saying, and I've always loved this saying. If you
Mhm.
tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
That's a good one. That's a good one because I don't have a good memory, so I guess I'm gonna have to tell the truth.
No, that's because you're a liar. You're a born liar.
I mean, seriously, I think no, you're right. You're right because if you tell the truth, but you know what? I think I'm gonna say this. We're gonna get ready to kind of close this out. But I think that it's just it's hard. Relationships these days are hard. It's not
Very.
like maybe a generation or two ago when people met. My parents met through a blind date through one of the church members sister-in-law. They met, and my mom was, she was determined she wasn't gonna marry my dad or meet my dad, but they finally met. And, it was maybe 3 to 6 months later they got married and they were happily married until my father passed away. Uh but people back then they had a conviction about marriage. They had a commitment to marriage. They knew that marriage took work. It took compromise, right? So I don't know. I don't know. When you marry at first sight, it doesn't seem like a lot of these contestants that are coming on the show now. It doesn't seem like they're committed.
And we gotta remember too, it's television, it's entertainment. So
Yeah, yeah,
you you
it
you,
is.
you have to have drama. You gotta have those elements in there to get the viewership, attracted to the show. But back in the old days, when your parents and the old folks were coming up and this kind of thing, there was a certain conviction for marriage. There was a certain conviction for family, keeping your family together at all costs. But at the same time, there was a lot of abuse and stuff back then. It was just unheard of to get divorced. It's not that the people didn't want to get out, but it was just unheard of and not as well accepted as it is today. It's almost like today, it's a badge of honor to get divorced. It's like, I done been there, done that. Thank you, Lord. I'm out. It's almost like a badge of honor to get married and get divorced because now you've done
Wow.
it. You got the battle scars. You're ready to move on. And that's why I don't really approve of marriage for people under 30. You know,
Under
um,
30?
under 30 because when you're 20, how do you know what you want at 21? You don't even know who you are at 21.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's possible. But the thing about that is, though, too, it doesn't stop 21 and younger or older from creating a life. And so sometimes people still feel the desire, an urgency to marry because they have a new life coming. And I don't, there's pros and cons to that, but I'm not going to argue with somebody that they're having a baby and they've been together as a couple. I'm not going to argue with them wanting to get married and solidify that bond.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody's trying to do the right thing with having a child, let's get married, whatever. But
Yeah, some of those work out. I mean, I tell you, I think some of those work out because I think when you're younger, here's
very
the thing.
few.
Okay, but what I was gonna say is I think that when you're younger, you're less what's the word? You're more flexible. You're more flexible and you can grow together. So
Uh,
I don't know, but go ahead. You were saying something and
no,
I think I jumped in.
No, I just think in the age of social media and things like that, it's very difficult today to stay married. Everybody take their problems to social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these things, and then they want people to chime in. Oh, he don't do that to yourself. You're a queen. You're a diva. You don't have to take that. Blah blah. All this other kind of stuff they want people to say on social media to kind of validate what they're already feeling or their behavior. But what they don't understand is that these people don't know the person you're married to. They don't even know you. So, so
Okay.
and misery loves company. Old sayings become old because they're typically true. And people who are miserable do not want to be miserable by themselves. Okay?
Mm.
They want somebody to be miserable with. Girl, he did that to you. You need to leave.
Yeah, now
You
you gotta watch the girlfriends, and I think the guys have to watch their guy friends. I think that in marriage, I think that before you get married and even when you're dating, you need to have wise counsel in your background. You need to have a wise mother, a wise father, a wise grandmother, a wise grandfather, someone who believes in relationships. Healthy relationships, okay? Because if you start to go to your girlfriends and the guy starts to go to his guy friends, I think that that can be a really big problem.
you're doomed.
That
You're
can be a really
doomed.
big problem because some people aren't happy for you to be in a coupleship, to be in a partnership.
Yeah.
When I was young, I was one of the few girlfriends that my girlfriends had that they knew, and I had these two rules. I said, as long as he's not beating you, and as long as he's not beating you, and what was the other one? I'm sorry, I had a brain
Bringing
fart.
babies home,
Pardon me.
or bringing babies home, or STD, or something like that.
Something probably along those lines. But I said if those two things weren't happening, you couldn't come. Like, my girlfriends, they would jokingly say, well, I gotta come stay with you. I'm mad at him. And I say, no, work it out. Work it out. Work it out. Because if he's not putting his hands on you, or like you said, bringing home the STDs, that type of situation, try to work it out. And over the years, I found that one of my closest girlfriends, she thanked me to this day that she is still with her husband, because oftentimes she would be in the wrong, and I would just tell her, I say, why would you say that to him? Why would you do that to him? That's wrong. I'm not
Yeah.
the girlfriend to just go along with the girlfriend and not understand or listen to the male point of view, right? The male perspective, or what he did, or what she did to him. So, I mean, I really believe in couples staying together, but not if it's unhealthy. And
Yeah.
I felt like this whole season, Myrla and Gil, that was not a healthy relationship, because I saw his putting her down and his talking to her, I felt like it was very verbally abusive. He's
Yeah.
always talking about she's a brat, she's a princessa, and she's a high class, and she's bougie. Those things after a while, those aren't fun things to just poke fun at a person. She never said to him, well, you're low class, you make a lot less money than I do, my bank account is a lot bigger than yours. She never rubbed anything in his face the whole season.
Well, and I guess that's why Felicia is saying that most viewers don't realize they're viewing an augmented version of what actually happened. You know,
Mhm.
which is
That's
which is
right.
which is where I fall. I'm definitely seeing an augmented version. I don't see everything. I didn't see enough of their relationship. But I'll close with this because we're approaching the 1 hour mark, and
Yes.
yeah, I'll close with this.
Mhm.
When you don't take the time necessary to really get to know somebody before you jump the broom, as the old folks would say, jumping the broom. Okay? If you don't take the time to really get to know them and understand their ways before you jump the broom, you're gonna end up jumping back over that broom. Period. Because people can't hide their true selves forever. The true them will come out. So all this beginning representative stuff and being Mr. Nice Guy or Mr. Nice Girl or whatever the case may be, they can't hold that long. Nobody can. Because we all have character and integrity that's in us, that's built in us. And you
Right.
can't hold that forever. And it takes time to get to know who these people really, really are.
Okay. All right. All right. I so have appreciated Alex W. Leith, you joining in with us today on Actually Aubrey. Can you tell the viewers how to find you on here on YouTube?
Well, on YouTube, I have a channel called Link Court Productions because I'm a filmmaker. But I do plan on starting another channel strictly for podcasting and things of that nature into the
Okay.
coming year. Into the coming year.
Okay.
But right now, they can actually find me on Link Court Productions,
Can
LINKCTPRODS
do
on
you
YouTube.
see your comment now? Just 1 second. If you see your comment section over to the right, if it's possible, could you just quickly type that in, and we can include
Oh,
that in the chat. Just type it in
okay.
right there to the right,
I see.
and then hit press the enter button, and then it'll appear on the screen there on the side in the chat.
Right. I got you. Yeah. So yeah, actually, yeah. So that's where I am, and social media, of course, Instagram, AW Leaf, Facebook under my name, Alex W Leaf, until I start maybe my podcast and start a fan page for that. But right now, that's how you would find me.
Okay, and just briefly, if you just have another second or minute or so, could you just tell us what exactly your production company does or you have done to this point?
Well, my production company is called Link Core Productions. We've done television series, films. We're in the process now of developing a couple more movies and things of that nature. Always creating. I'm actually doing a comic book right now because I love superheroes. I create superheroes and I do all that stuff. Um,
Really?
we-
Okay.
we're creating a comic book right now. I have my illustrator on it right now as we speak. But we have a film on Amazon right now
Okay,
called
what's the name of that film?
it's called Cycle, Cycle, and it's a very powerful film about domestic violence, and it's really the rave about what's going on in some of these people's household. It really touches a nerve. It is a very, very popular film. People have streamed the film in domestic violence shelters. They've bought CDs to show it to shelters. Very, very powerful film. So if you have Amazon, you can go and watch it. If you have Prime, you can watch it for free. If you don't have Prime, there's a small cost to watch it. But please go to Amazon and look for Cycle, Cycle, which I'm a producer on that.
Okay, I'm typing that out because I see you. Okay, all right,
Yes, there it is.
right. And I actually saw this film, by the way, to our viewers. I actually saw this film last month for Domestic Violence Month, and it is wonderful. I would have to give it 5 out of 5 stars. Excellent film.
Thank
Excellent.
you so much for that. Thank you.
Yeah. So all right then. Well, we're gonna wrap.
Are you still there? You're gone.